prophecy, Psalm 78 verses 1-2 and fulfillment, Matthew 13 verses 34-35. He would teach in parables. The Bible is a book of divine revelation, where prophecies and their fulfillment weave together a grand tapestry of God's redemptive plan. In Psalm 78 verses 1-2, the psalmist foretells that the Messiah would teach in parables, using captivating stories to convey profound spiritual truths. The psalmist declares, "Give ear, O my people, to my teaching, incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable, I will utter dark sayings from of old." This prophetic announcement finds its fulfillment in the New Testament, particularly in the Gospel of Matthew, where Jesus indeed fulfills the psalmist's words by teaching the multitudes in parables. In this video, we will explore the prophecy in Psalm 78 verses 1-2, examine its fulfillment in Matthew 13 verses 34-35, and reflect on the profound significance of Jesus' use of parables in his teaching ministry. Unveiling Psalm 78 verses 1-2 Teaching in Parables. Psalm 78 is a didactic psalm, recounting the history of God's faithfulness to his people and calling them to learn from the lessons of the past. In verses 1-2, the psalmist assumes the role of a teacher, exhorting the people to attentively listen to his teaching. He proclaims that he will speak in parables, employing allegorical and symbolic stories that carry deeper spiritual meanings. The psalmist aims to engage the minds and hearts of his audience, leading them to ponder and reflect on the truths embedded within the parables. The fulfillment in Matthew 13 verses 34-35 Jesus teaching in parables. The fulfillment of Psalm 78 verses 1-2 is prominently manifested in the ministry of Jesus Christ, particularly in Matthew 13 verses 34-35. In this passage, Matthew describes how Jesus taught the multitudes using parables, fulfilling the prophecy made in the Psalms. Matthew writes, "All these things Jesus said to the crowds in parables. Indeed, he said nothing to them without a parable. This was to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet, 'I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter what has been hidden since the foundation of the world.'" Through his parables, Jesus skillfully conveyed profound spiritual truths, making complex concepts accessible to both the learned and the common people. The profound significance of teaching in parables. The fulfillment of Psalm 78 verses 1-2 and Matthew 13 verses 34-35 carries profound theological and pedagogical significance. 1. Engaging and memorable teaching. By using parables, Jesus employed a teaching method that engaged the hearts and minds of his audience. The vivid imagery and relatable stories allowed the listeners to remember and internalize the profound spiritual teachings. 2. Veiling and unveiling truth. The parables served a dual purpose. They veiled spiritual truths from those who were not receptive, while simultaneously unveiling divine mysteries to those who earnestly sought understanding. 3. Inclusivity in learning. The use of parables demonstrates Jesus' inclusivity in his teaching approach. He presented truths in a way that transcended educational and social barriers, allowing everyone to partake in his teachings. 4. Invitation to reflection. The parables invited listeners to reflect on their own lives and spiritual condition. They encouraged introspection and soul-searching, prompting people to examine their hearts and respond to the call of God. 5. Fulfillment of prophecy. The fulfillment of Psalm 78 verses 1-2 in Jesus' teaching validated his divine authority and the continuity of God's redemptive plan throughout history. Conclusion. Psalm 78 verses 1-2 foretells that the Messiah would teach in parables, using allegorical stories to convey profound spiritual truths. The fulfillment in Matthew 13 verses 34-35 magnifies the significance of Jesus' use of parables in his teaching ministry. Through parables, Jesus engaged his audience, unveiled spiritual mysteries, and invited all people to reflect on their relationship with God. His use of parables fulfilled ancient prophecies, affirming his divine authority as the long-awaited Messiah. As we contemplate the fulfillment of this prophecy, may we embrace the power of storytelling and allegory in conveying timeless spiritual truths. Let us approach the teachings of Jesus with open hearts and minds, ready to delve into the depths of his parables and apply their lessons to our lives. May we recognize the inclusivity of Jesus' teaching and the invitation to seek divine understanding. As we reflect on the fulfillment of Psalm 78 verses 1 to 2 and Matthew 13 verses 34 to 35, may it deepen our appreciation for Jesus as the master teacher and inspire us to walk in the light of his divine wisdom, found within the treasured parables he shared with the world.